Yeah, it's fun. It's like it's very. It still has the old school element to it of that old action alien sci-fi adventure storytelling, and so with the little tinge of horror. So they're doing great. We'll see where it goes, but I'm right here for it.
Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me, as always, is
it's Josh,
as well as
the one and only Professor.
And Cam is away on assignment. and Cam is away on assignment, but we are here giving our first reactions to Alien Earth. This is the first TV show out of the Alien IP franchise, whatever you want to call it.
World.
And world, universe. We're trying to say universe anymore. We'll just say world. And yeah, it's getting a lot of big buzz. It's getting, all the tomatoes are saying that's great and all that goodness. But we thought we would check out the first 2 episodes that just dropped and kind of give us our reactions. I'm going to throw it to D first because you're a lot more in the Alien verse than I am, as I am not a horror person, even though Alien is somewhat sci-fi horror-ish. Yeah.
It bounces between genres. So the first one was mostly horror and the way it's set up. The second one was purely sci-fi action, as only James Cameron can deliver, and then the others will kind of play with the 2 genres. But
side note, I had to look this up real quick, but David Fincher directed Alien 3. That was his first directorial debut.
First film. Yes,
I did not know that.
His first movie.
Yes,
his very first movie.
Several years before he did Fight Club. His directorial debut was Alien 3, which starred Charles Dance,
and Charles S. Dutton,
Sigourney Weaver, Charles S. Dutton. It was actually, to me, I enjoy watching that one more than Aliens, just because I think Aliens is just like shoot 'em up, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't have
it's underrated,
substance
criminally
to
underrated. It. Yeah, criminally underrated.
Yeah, and it's a good movie.
Continues the franchise in a very interesting way. Like the bit at the end where you realize that she's
mythology.
Yeah, when you realize that she's been that Ripley's been infected with an alien egg.
You're talking about 3, right?
In that,
talking about 3.
Yeah,
that's Alien 3.
Oh, my bad. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm mixing them up.
That's right. Yeah.
Again,
that was
okay, right, yeah.
Had very little story in that regard. Alien 3 did reintroduce storytelling mythology. The only thing that Aliens added was the Queen and the concept of there being being a hive colony type of species. But as far as Alien Earth, Noah Hawley, who is the showrunner and creator. He's known for Fargo, which I love.
And Legion, which I don't love.
And Legion, which I also did not like.
I did not love it. It's okay.
I didn't like or love Legion. After the first season, I ceased to watch it and have not watched it again. It's the one thing that I said Noah Hawley should have stepped away from that, because that's just not his sensibility. He doesn't.
And you can tell.
And you can tell he was trying to do the highbrow route with a property that doesn't need that kind of treatment. It really doesn't. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it doesn't need that treatment.
And he botched a few things. There were a few things that just didn't work for. And it's 50-50, right? But I don't want to go too far off topic. But
yeah.
But it was 50-50 because there was some things that he did that were really, really smart in terms of how that world operated without making it an X-Men thing. There were like vague allusions to the fact that Charles Xavier is his father and that the X-Men were a thing. And I thought that was cool. But there were points where he took too much artistic liberty, both visually and just in terms of, but anyway, so you were saying,
wow, Legion was on for 3 seasons. Sorry, I just went on down the rabbit hole. All right, but
no. We won't go.
Alien Earth.
I'll wrap up the Legion thing just by saying I brought that up by saying that Fargo, amazing. I love Fargo. Yeah, it's an really amazing anthology.
Really, really good.
Serial drama, and they just don't ever seem to deliver a bad season. So. I was looking forward to Alien Earth. I ignored my thoughts about Legion because I felt that this was closer to something that was his that's his speed.
In his wheelhouse.
In his wheelhouse. And so right off the bat, it invokes the original just right out the gate. In fact, the first scene is meant to bring us to that early the original Alien. You got the costuming. It was shot on film. That scene, at least they used the filter, but I think they shot it. It looked like they shot it on film. And you had the whole setup, but then it flips, and then we come into the sort of modernization of the storytelling. What we're telling, the story that we're about to get right now. This ship heading for Earth, and then we go to Earth, and we see that it's Earth that's fully controlled by corporations. Entire cities are run by whichever billionaire is in control of the corporation. And so the two top ones are Prodigy, which is run by the character's name is Boy Cavalier. And I cannot, I'm still trying to figure out if that is, I don't know what to make of that just yet. And it's only been 2 episodes. It is either the most low-hanging, corny thing ever, or there's something unique
genius
about it, or genius, and the character just calls himself that. And that's why I think that's what it is. That the character just calls himself that. But he's being established as one of the 2 overarching antagonists of the story. The other, of course, being the CEO, Ms. Yutani, who has appeared in other stuff. Well, at least a member of her family who is a Chinese or no, a Japanese woman, I think, and is controlling that company. Now, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation in the Alien franchise has kind of been inconsistent. At some point, it's the Yutanis are leading the way, and then at other points, the Charles Bishop Weyland is leading the way. So it's a whole kind of thing. But the bottom line is that they are established right off the bat as still the evil empire, and that ship is their ship, and of course it crashes, and it's filled to the brim with fauna that is not friendly. That does not belong on Earth. Fauna, as in extraterrestrial species. Right. And the mood and the tone and the pacing is really good. There isn't a moment in that show from the point where they establish the main character, who is an 11-year-old who is dying, but they transfer her consciousness into a synthetic body, which is, kind of the Westworld thing that they were alluding to. And so you have the main core of characters are these kids in adult bodies, and so the actors are you could tell they're having fun being children, but in their adult bodies.
And I really like that aspect of it, because at first I was like, where are they going with this? And as they started to show more of the actors as adults, and then to keep that thread going through the whole for these 2 episodes, there's parts where they're playing with each other like they're 10 and 11-year-olds. Yes. And so one character tells them a secret, and he's like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like, "Hey, what you guys talking about?" "Oh, she just said that, blah blah blah." She's like, "Dude, secret."
Yes, literally.
And that part right there, I was like, boom, that's the level of detail of 10-year-olds talking to each other, telling someone each other a secret about why they're doing something, and having that interaction. And they did a really good job of showing the actors did a good job of keeping that kind of mental thing where even when they come up with something that's really crazy, they have that kind of same like, "Oh, this is interesting but weird," and they're kind of curious about it.
Because they have no context.
There's no adult frame of reference.
None. There's no wisdom there in the way that, and you saw that with how they were reacting to seeing these horrifying things. Like, like we're seeing any adult that sees something and identify it as not native fauna to Earth is trying to get as far away from that thing as they possibly can. Whereas they're kind of like, "Oh,
what's this?"
Like kind of doing that stuff, like, and it's great because they're paired with Timothy Oliphant's character called Kirsch, and we don't know quite he seems. I like his character because he's clearly misanthropic. He gives a speech where it's at the end of the first episode, and he's been given command of this squad of juiced up 10-year-old brain synthetic androids, because they established from the very beginning, after they do the transfer, that they are super people now. Like, the girl jumps off of a mountain and lands on her feet and just keeps going. So they are basically super beings now. And so he's in charge of this group, the Oliphant character, and he's telling the main character, I'm forgetting her name, Wendy. I think it's what she calls herself. Wendy. Yeah, she calls herself Wendy. And he's just looking at her. He's like, you used to be food. And she's like, come again? He's like, you used to be food. He's like, you crawled, you slugged your way out of the sea, and then something started trying to chase you. And then eventually you grew to a point where you stopped being food. And now you're just, what are you now? Like, he's basically describing the evolution of humans and saying, like, we used to be food until we claimed the spot of apex predator on this planet. And that's a good speech because it was juxtaposing with the xenomorph, right? Doing its thing and basically saying, like, you used to be food, and if you're not careful, you're about to be food once again.
And so, I think they did a good job of doing that. They did a good job of like again, using the characters to kind of push the narrative along. And the pacing in this was really good.
Really good.
And for a non-horror fan like myself, I loved all the alien usage. The budget of the first episode is probably more than the alien and aliens put together, to be honest.
It looks fantastic.
Great. It looks fantastic. They did a really good job of, using that tension of the alien and they did it more than once, but every time I liked it, where it's like they would zoom up on a character,
it hides in the background,
and then you walk, and all of a sudden the alien's
then the alien moves.
And they just did a good job of it, where it made it fun. Where you're like, I'm glad you guys are keeping the horror element of the alien as long as while you're building this world, because to me, I wasn't the biggest fan of Aliens, but I did like the world building of how it did. I like that. Oh, it's all, the world is now carved up by corporations, not actual countries anymore. So like, there's a good moment where Yutani calls Boy and is like, yo, my property is in your city. He's like, yo, this thing fell off the sky, so I guess I got to handle it. She's like, well, I'm going to send a team to go get my stuff back. And he's like, no, if you do that, that's an act of war. And I like that they're showing again that now these companies are full on countries now.
They're autonomous. They don't have to.
Autonomous.
Yeah.
Nope. They don't got to do anything. They don't got to abide by anyone else's rules but their own. And I like that they show that where you're at. And there's another good part where one of the characters is trying to quit his job, and he's like, yeah, I want to go be a doctor or something like that. And they're like, well, you got 7 months left of your contract. You ain't going nowhere.
Which is another thing that they showed in Alien Romulus, which is years after this, how that becomes even worse, where they have entire families who live and die in indentured service on these colony planets, that they work as surveyors and miners and things like that. And they're supposed to be working so that they can leave the contract, but there's always something that adds more years to their service.
So then overall, like for Alien Earth, the antagonists are twofold. One is the corporations that run it because they're just shitty. And then now you have the new antagonist, who is, again, like in every Alien, which is the one thing I liked about it from the time of, it always starts with one, something breaks loose. And then all of a sudden that one turns into multiple, and then we see some eggs, and there's always, and I love it too, because one thing that he did from a nostalgia standpoint, and sorry, white people, but this is very true. There's always that one white guy that sees an egg is like, ooh, what's this?
And that happened in this one, but you know, one of the things I did like is that they introduced the cyborgs, which I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah.
And that was, and they introduced it for the company of Prodigy, because we know Weyland-Yutani mainly uses their androids, their synthetic androids that are don't have human consciousness. So that's the other thing, is that this new company, they're showing how they are doing it and basically establish that there is this tech race, right? They say flat out, whoever can master synthetic and cyborg tech and whatever else they're finding out, resources they're finding, and hybridization will rule the world and likely rule the galaxy or the interstellar space. Because in this universe, which what I love is that their interstellar Earth has become basically an interstellar empire, a power, but it's not like under a centralized government. It's just all of these corporations that have gone into space and basically colonize it. And there aren't any comparable intelligent species, but there are a whole lot of hostile, very dangerous species that, and they introduce some that are not xenomorph that I thought were really interesting. And the great thing is that he gives us so much to look forward to with this world. And that's what I was worried about, because I kept thinking the whole point of Alien is that the xenomorph never came to Earth. I mean, there was the whole Alien versus Predator movie, but that is what it is. Because you can't imagine one of those things being on Earth amongst humans and it not just completely going to shit. Because, you know, before humanity figures out what's going on, we probably got at least 800 xenomorphs running around. And then you got to think there's an embryo for every single person on the planet. And there could be an embryo for at least a whole city. So you're looking at 10,000 before the day is out.
Yeah, and honestly, that's literally the plot of Alien versus Marvel, essentially. Like it's like a future elsewhere type story, and it starts with one, it metastasized, and it's like in the future, some of the heroes are alive, some of them are dead, some of them are hosts, some are, and so like, but that's literally, and they just take over the whole Earth essentially, and then people are living in walled up cities trying not to get infected, essentially.
So I didn't see it yet. Just didn't get my life together fast enough to see it before we potted. So set the frame for me. Where in the timeline of films does this show up? And let's start there for me.
All right. So the way that Noah Hawley, and I have to say it this way because he conscientiously, and this is a public statement, chose to ignore Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Now,
yay for Covenant, bad for Prometheus. Boo.
Timeline-wise, Alien Covenant and Prometheus happened before Alien Earth. So, here's the actual timeline. If you take everything, not including the Alien versus Predator stuff, but just Prometheus, Alien Covenant, Alien Earth, Alien Romulus, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection. And that's just not including all the supplemental stuff, because you have to include comics and all that stuff.
No. We're talking
no time for that.
Strictly film.
Yeah, strictly film, and now the one TV show. Yes, Prometheus, Alien Covenant, Alien Earth, Alien Romulus, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection. Yes.
And then Alien Earth after.
No, Alien Earth is before
Alien,
the first Alien.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's heat. So
it's a prequel
series. I brought it up,
sort of.
It is a prologue. Well, I like to call them prologues now. then the good ones prologue. So this one I would say prologue.
All right.
The whack ones are prequels. They can stay prequels. That's just me being
no. But there's a distinction there. I don't think you're being whatever you were about to say. There's a distinction there. Like prologue speaks to more literary.
Yeah, and also more connective to a grander universe as opposed to just throwing something in there and saying that it was set before
that this happened before. Yeah.
You know, so and they do a good job of like kind of like setting that tone up of letting you know a little bit of the what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that like that's why it's cool that it's like at first when I heard it was like a prequel, prologue, whatever, I was kind of like, do we need this? And then now that they've kind of shown us, I'm like, oh, maybe we did.
Yeah, and that's because he is ignoring Prometheus and Covenant. So if you go with Noah Hawley's continuity, his canon, he's saying this: Alien Earth happened first. Prometheus and the events of Covenant did not happen at all. The reason he said his reasoning for it were twofold. One was he felt that the technology displayed in those two movies were way before the stuff that we saw in Alien. Now, my argument against that is that Ridley Scott clearly didn't feel that way because he did Prometheus, he did Alien Covenant, even though Alien Covenant I feel was just a studio obligation. But Alien, I think he would probably, and I don't want to speak for that dude especially, but I would imagine that he would see it as the only reason that the technology and stuff looked like that in Alien was because they had no frame of reference of where we were going with technology. So it was just basic use of it, right? If you really look at the way it was. So that's why I can see Hawley's point, but I also disagree with him. Because I think that it was more so in Prometheus, it seemed like Ridley Scott is saying if he had had the money, budget, and technology was there, the tech would have looked more like this than it did in his Alien. So I think it was a total misinterpretation and a pretentious one on Hawley's part. Now, there's the other thing is that he didn't like the idea of he didn't mind the whole suggestion that the engineers had a role in the creation of the xenomorph. What he did not like, he absolutely did not like, was in Covenant, the suggestion that David, the main protagonist, the android, was the actual designer of the xenomorph that we know. And in that regard,
I see.
I agree with him in that regard, because then that takes away from the larger mystery of the creature and the things that we have seen built up over the years. But I would not exclude Prometheus. In my mind, Prometheus is still canon. I don't care what he said.
Yeah, that's why I was saying.
I would be more willing to ignore
Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Covenant, because even Romulus acknowledges Prometheus, like directly acknowledges Prometheus. And so Covenant you can ignore because of, again, I think it was just him fulfilling his obligation to the studio. Mm-hmm. And I think they wanted him to abandon what he was working on in turn, picking from Prometheus to go make the story more closer so that they have the actual xenomorph.
Right.
Because, it's pop culture. The xenomorph is the seller, right? People weren't into Prometheus because it didn't have the xenomorph. But
even though it's a very intelligent movie.
It's really well done. It's a really good film. But that's what that was. So you have those competing timelines, but just at the very top between Prometheus, Alien Covenant, and Alien Earth. And that's only because Hawley made this choice to do those things. But I think he positions it so if you want to ignore his stuff, you can also ignore so far he's positioned it that way. If you want to ignore his continuity and just go with Prometheus, Alien Covenant, Alien Romulus, you can also engage the story that way too.
Yeah, I can see that. And again, that's where we get like this weird, it's almost too much. Like, again, if I didn't know any of all this and I just came into cold, I would have been like, yo, this show's crazy. All I know is it's an alien eating people, and there's a bunch of corporations, and there's some scary moments. And like, again, just from that cold, it's already entertaining. You're hooked in.
Sure.
There's interesting characters. There's some faces. Like familiar faces. You're kind of like, okay, I kind of remember this person. This is kind of cool. What's up with these kid adults? All like, again, production value is very high. They did not skimp on gore, which is cool. They're all in that. They love to show the gore. It's like, ooh, the xenomorph just used its tongue and just put a hole in somebody. I wonder if they're gonna show. Oh, yep, they showed it.
So,
that's the iconic. That's the iconic alien. That's as iconic as Michael Myers stabbing someone with a kitchen knife.
Yeah,
like, you gotta
get the bursting through. You gotta get the face hugger.
Yeah, you gotta get the face hugger, the bursting through, and you gotta get the tongue.
Yeah.
Through the eye. Somebody's getting that through their eye or through their skull. Like somebody's getting it.
And I think that's what I like too, is like just from an entertainment factor. I was just like, oh shit, they really go in there. They were high on the gore, high on the silly humans being like, I don't know what this is, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And but also to Dee's credit, like, yeah, narrative wise, they definitely give you a lot of good pieces that build the world, establish a lot of things where you're just like, yeah, now I'm more curious about. There's a lot of these things that's in there, and I like. The other thing that Dee was talking about too was it is a xenomorph, but there's also a bunch of other species there.
You saw that Weyland-Yutani was up to some. They went to a deep space and they found some stuff, like a whole. Nice. Like the best way I can describe it is Superman's Fortress of Solitude when he has all of these. They had all of that, and all of them were different, unrelated to the xenomorph. Yes. There was one thing that creeped me out, and I'm not even talking about the eye thing with the cat. I'm talking about the creature that crawled on the two soldiers. Oh, bit them, and sucked all of their blood and marrow or whatever out of, and just chilled, just fell off of them, and was just like, it was like the most scary type of mosquito I've ever seen.
So I guess again, not having seen it, does it fit? Like all that you guys have said makes me feel like it does, but I'm just curious as a statement, for the pilot, does it fit?
It does. The story is called Alien Earth. It's not called Xenomorph Earth. It's called Alien Earth. Okay. And the Xenomorph is still the main focus. It's still the main antagonist as far as we can see right now, or the secondary antagonist. It just depends on how you look at it. But the Xenomorph is the main aggressor, and the character, it's focused around those things. It's just saying this is more developing the world of the Weyland-Yutani and the corporations, to say, while they were out there and they found this organism, this one that we know that the audience already knows how dangerous and powerful a xenomorph is. Now we find out that they weren't just looking for those things. They found a lot of stuff out there. And some of this stuff is like, it's straight out of Lovecraftian horror, like legitimately Lovecraft, especially the thing with all the eyes and the tentacles. I'm like, this is Lovecraftian horror in space. So that's the scariest type of space stuff, because it's all stuff that you just have no explanation. You can't even describe it if you try.
Okay. Yeah, and like the eyeball one is a good example. Like, it's like an eyeball with like tentacles or something like that, and like they show it a little bit in the beginning. And shout out to all the actors that we all know are going to get killed in that first 7 minutes, but they're just sitting there eating. They're like eating and they're having conversation and they're explaining about the world. Like, they're like, hey, talk to this one kid. He hasn't went to a social studies class. Like, all right, there's 5 companies and there's da. Like, I'm watching it. I'm like, you are all about to get it.
And then you get a nice dip to black, and then you see the spaceship. Just, it looked like something went wrong already, and then they go back to the spaceship, and the xenomorph is just messing everybody up.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the details I like was showing just how it's not just this mindless animal, but it's a sadistic monster. like legitimately grabbed the girl, like she was trying to get to the cyborg dude. The xenomorph could have just killed her, like right then. It takes her, throws her onto the floor, and like
plays with the food,
plays with her for a second, rips her apart, and then finally impales her with its tail. Like vicious, psychotic. Like it's showing us that these creatures, they are not just hostile by nature of being a predator. Like most predators will leave other predators alone. They don't venture out. These things are their mission is to destroy. Their biological imperative is not survival. It is to eradicate all life that they find and to enjoy it as much as they do. Because like that thing was smiling at one point when they put on the and you can see that it stalks people. There were several times where it could have just kicked off characters, but you see in the background, it's like legitimately stalking them. So those details make it even more terrifying. It's the xenomorph is the one creature in all of fiction, and I'm not afraid of anything where I'm like, I would never, ever, ever want to be around that thing. Because you just know you're dead. Like there's nothing you can do.
And then even to that part, like in the 2 episodes that we got, there's 2 characters that escaped the xenomorph on multiple occasions, not multiple, but 2 occasions. And you can tell that the xenomorph recognizes them. And it's like, oh, I remember you, and goes after them with that.
I'm still going to get you. Like I'm not letting. Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of gusto. There's a certain intelligence active, but also a certain you the one that got away.
You don't get away from that thing.
And
that is freakish because in every Alien movie, whether good or bad, they establish that there's a certain level of predatory.
Yeah,
there's like an extra level of predatory. Like, there's no, the animal's afraid of you and you're afraid of it, but it's going to attack you anyway. No, no fear. It wants you. It's stalking you.
It's either going to do 2 things. It's going to take you so that you can be impregnated, which is still the same thing. It's killing you. Or it's going to rip you to shreds. And either it's going to do that for fun or it's going to eat you. And what you saw is examples of all of it. We saw that it ate some people, and some people it legit just ripped apart and left them. And given credit where credit's due, Howley made that creature more terrifying even than it was in Romulus, and Romulus made it terrifying.
That is saying a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he made
100%.
that creature terrifying to the point where I was like, man, this might be this 2 hours or this 2 whatever it ended up being is probably better than a lot of Alien movies, not Alien the franchise, but just those setups where it's like a creature let loose in an unnatural habitat and wreaking havoc. This was like the creature design looked amazing. It looked really good for TV. And I just had to say, I am looking forward to the next several episodes. I didn't have any expectations for this, but I thought it would be good because of who was involved. And so far, the franchise has been on a roll, both Predator and Alien. It's like those franchises. It's interesting that the worst Alien movie was made by the original Alien director. and everything afterwards has been so much better than what he did.
Yeah. But it also just goes back to like the original idea was good. And now it's more about expanding on that, right? Like Geiger, HR Geiger did all the designs, the Swiss designer. Like it's cool to see people just like in like expanding on his stuff that he was doing then. And it makes, and each time, like each iteration of an alien on any of them, just they make it more terrifying. It still has the same basis and the same overall design, but they've like almost like in like an Alien Earth, this xenomorph is all black with like silver grill, essentially.
Like a silver hue in general, like almost, which makes you think, what was it about that host that yielded that?
Right. Because exactly.
And then in each iteration, there's another ability. Like there's the first one, they kind of just stalk, kind of 2D almost stalking. But then there's another one where I think somebody's in a tunnel and the xenomorph sort of scales up to the ceiling and starts running on the ceiling. There's another one where it swims, and it's all little things like that. Like you just don't see it do that, so you don't know it can do that, which adds to the overall horror and terror of, there's no escaping this no matter where you go.
Yeah, and that added to the sort of conceit of the xenomorph itself, right? This is the perfect organism. It's perfect because it is intelligence. It doesn't take but a few seconds to be impregnated, to gestate, and even less time to grow to full size adult. And adapts. It adapts. It can survive in the vacuum of space. In Alien Romulus, they pulled the one from Alien that Ridley ejected into space. It froze. They brought it on the ship. When they thawed it out, it woke up, resumed its killing spree. It woke up and resumed its killing spree until the characters. And not only that, it literally it put xenomorphs in all of the crew on the Romulus, the first crew, before the movie characters come up to the station. So I encourage you to check out Alien Romulus. If you have not seen it, it is one of the better Alien movies and
installations. Is not a movie, but
all right. What do you mean, Alien Romulus?
Alien Romulus. I thought you were saying the TV. Sorry. I thought you were saying.
No. I was
saying Alien Romulus is something people should check out.
You should check it out, especially if you're going to get into Alien Earth, because it's both are similar experiences. Just one is film, and the other one is TV. And once again, some good faces in that. You got what's her name, Kaylee Spaney, who was in Civil War, and she was in a few other things. And Isabella Merced is in that as well. She's pretty much in everything.
Yeah, she's that chick right now.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah, and I think that, like, going back to continuing what Romulus kind of set of recently, and all of it's interesting because I read up on recently how the director of Romulus is friends with Dan Trachtenberg from that did Prey and
Predator,
Badlands, and he was just like, "Yo, I would totally do an Aliens versus Predator movie. We do it like a Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, where we co-direct it, just have fun and do some good stuff." And I was like, "That would be an amazing idea."
Insane.
Like. And it would actually be good this time. Other than
it wouldn't be 90s. It wouldn't be 90s retro schlock. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
The one that Paul W.S. Anderson did, the first one was just okay, really not good at all. I mean, it has Sinai Lathan in it. There's reason to watch it.
There are definitely enjoyable aspects of the movie that just, but the Alien Predator stuff is the thing that worked the least.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think with Trachtenberg and is it Alvarez? Is it Fade? I think it's Fade Alvarez.
It's Fade. Yeah, it's
Fade Alvarez. Alvarez and Trachtenberg, if they team up and create that movie, it'll be mythology driven, and that's why it'll be good. Because everything that we're talking about, including even Noah Hawley, because I think he's on an island of his own doing Alien Earth, but they all understand the mythology and how to work from that point and allow characters to make decisions. And you have a setup, you have the conceit, and that is the thing that continues to build each season. If this is imagined as a multi-season show.
Yeah, and it's only supposed to be 8 episodes, I believe, or this first season or whatever. So they just dropped 2 already, and I think they're doing the next 6 over the next 6 weeks. And but I think there's already early rumors of just because of the reception and stuff that they're ready to keep it going.
Oh, I think they're going to. Just based on, I haven't even watched it yet, and based on the reception, I already know they're gonna. Just the little bit that I've read.
Yeah.
I can see how they're trying to shake up the structure in the second season so that it doesn't become, because you have to it's like Chucky, right? So whenever you bring in these horror icons and you make a series about them, the question is always, how does that work, right? Because the titular character is the main villain of the story, right? So you know how the movies work. Chucky attacks, he kills a bunch of people, the hero stops him and destroys them, and then somehow he's comes back
somewhere else. Yeah,
exactly. It's the same with the alien. You know, they find the xenomorph somehow, some way. It's born, it kills a bunch of them. They somehow figure out a way to stop it and cut. So it's going to be curious to see as a serial drama how they work that in, because it is called Alien Earth, so you're going to need the xenomorph basically every season. But there's probably a path to do it. You know, you still have the queen. You can expand on some of the ideas of what they could become. Maybe a town does end up getting
and also
xenomorphed out.
Yeah, and also because they've introduced other species in there as like alien things, I think there's ways to do that where I think they can expand and have fun with it. Because that was a cool thing, like you said, that ship literally was Superman's Fortress of Solitude zoo, and they had so many, and they had little nuggets in the background of all these little random crazy things. And so now that the ship is done, hit the city. All these things are now out, and now right now we're only talking about the xenomorph and little eyeball thing, but there's other things there.
There's other stuff, and some of them are as small as regular Earth insects. And they like the one thing I described, that thing got on the dude's shoulder and he didn't react because it didn't. He was in all that gear, and so for him, I'm sure bugs crawl down his leg all the time. It ain't a big deal, but this thing literally crawls on him, and it was worse because the cyborg guy ties him up, so he can't do anything. And so the thing is just like, I'm about to have a feast right now.
And I like that they kept that same mistrust that we have of technology and sense, and now they do cyborgs, where this particular cyborg is a Wayland Yutani cyborg, and he's trying to just catch the xenomorph. He doesn't care about anybody else. Y'all can die, but my job is to make sure I bring the specimen back to my bosses. And
there's a moment where it was really funny where he actually captures it, and he's trying to take it away, and then the Prodigy guys come in, and he's like, "I tried to warn you. What's happening?" He's like, I try. He sees he's waking up. He's like, "All right, I tried to warn you. I wish you hadn't stopped me, but what's happening next?" So they have also moments where it's not meant to be funny, but because you get the context, you already know when you see the xenomorph squirming, it's about to be bad. It's about to be bad. So all of that is at play. And it reminded me of every good feeling moment that I had watching Alien when I was growing up. Like the all of the reasons why I love that franchise and why I fell for those stories was present in that, and all of the things that I love about science fiction in terms of spacefaring species and all of that stuff is present in that story. Well, most of the things I would say. So those first 2 episodes I really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to what the rest has in store.
Yeah, me too. I think they've set a good foundation, and I think it was a good move to also drop the 2 episodes as 2, because I think if it was just the one, it was cool, but you're like wasn't really sure what was going on, and then connecting with the 2 was kind of like okay, cool. Now I have a good understanding of where you guys are trying to establish, and it drops you in, lets you know what the world's going on, what's going on with Earth at that time. already who's the major players. Boom, you see the head of Prodigy, you see the head of Utani, and then also you see the people that are at play, which I like it because like it's funny because every time I see a Marine, I'm like, oh, more cannon for the fodder.
You already know that's more
fodder for the cannon.
That's Xenomorph child.
So I guess the only question I have left is, how would you rate it based on what you saw on a scale of 1 to 10?
Two episodes, 1 to 10. I would give it a solid 8.5 out of, me and ranking things perfectly, but I would give it a solid 8.7. It's just close to a 9 out of 10 in terms of a first 2 episode as you're going to get, because that was solid writing. Elizabeth. It was solid writing. It was solid directing. It was solid. And I'm always impressed when the writing is good, but I always know that Howley is decent at writing with his shows. So yeah, I would give it 8.7 to 9 out of 10 for those 2 episodes. It might drop off quality wise, but so far, if I could take those 2 and make just a movie that had an open end for a sequel, that's what that was.
Elizabeth, I'm coming home. Whoa.
Yeah, okay. I give it a good 8. I give it a good 8. They did a really good job. I think the silly moments was like the boy character. I was like, I guess.
That name and his behavior. That might pay
off later. Yeah, his behavior and how he was just really
It sounds
annoying.
Like it's meant to be stupid, so.
No, yeah, exactly. It is. And his behavior is meant to be exactly what it is. He's supposed to be this billionaire, trillionaire, basically a god emperor on Earth, because he can do whatever he wants, and he is a man child, and he has unlimited money, and he is a sociopath. He's clearly doesn't have any kind of moral. He's amoral, in fact. I mean, he was watching the alien just rip people apart, and he had no emotional affect other than trying to figure out how they were going to get this thing in their possession.
Yeah, exactly. And also he created the hybrids where it's a sense with human consciousness put into a synth. And he was like, I didn't do this for money. I did this out of boredom. I need someone to talk to that's smarter than me. And right now I don't have that. So
he literally tells this to his one of his top employees. He's like, I literally did this so that I can have someone to talk to, because there's no one on this planet that meets me on the intellectual level. Wow. Like, he's a legit mad scientist with a lot of money.
I like that. And there you go. And I was like, and when I got to that part, I was like, there we go. Now we have our true second antagonist and his motivations. I was like, this is cool.
And he said it with no scruples. There was no kind of, I will later go back and think about this or go to confession and ask for forgiveness. It was as matter of fact as saying, you know what? I'm thirsty right now. I'm going to go get some soda.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. We'll definitely be finishing up the rest of the series, and we'll do a full-on recap for it. But initial reactions, we're kind of with a lot of people right now. They're firing on all cylinders. And again, Aliens and Predator franchises right now have just like resuscitated themselves over this past year. And I don't know how or who put the battery in the back, but they're just anything that they're putting out right now is that's just great. Leaps and bounds of anything else that's going on.
Yeah, it's fun. It's there. It still has the old school element to it of that old action alien sci-fi adventure storyteller. And so with the little tinge of horror. So, they're doing great. We'll see where it goes, but I'm right here for it right now.
100%. Like always, this is Blerdlines. Everyone, like, subscribe, tell a friend. You know what it is. We out.
Later.